Hello everyone. Today I have with me Miss Marion Gamble, and we're going to be sitting here conducting our answer in questions. And if there's any questions that you post later, I would gladly send them to Miss Marion so she can answer them for you, and we'll maybe have her come back on to answer those questions depending on how many we get. But my first question for Miss Marion today is, give me Marion Gamble in 5 minutes or less.
I'm going to shoot for the less. 5 minutes is a long time. So I was born in New Jersey, so I am an East Coast baby. And I take a lot of pride in that. That comes out where it counts, like when I'm angry and stuff like that. And I'm brought up in church, so I'm a church baby. And that's my foundation. That's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me growing, and how I lead in my business and with my children. I think one of the other things that I would say about me is I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive, and that makes me sensitive to others. And I try very hard to make sure that everybody has a voice and there's understanding. I just went without it for so long, and I understand how important it is. And that's also why I do what I do as an entrepreneur.
And I can really see that in everything that you do. So, yeah. I can agree with that.
Well, thank you. Because I didn't know that that's what I was until my way adult years, because I was a hellion. I guess I was running from it. But if there's anybody out there who knows me, don't call. Don't. I don't need your confirmation. That was enough. What else? I'm a caretaker. I'm very inquisitive, love details, more details than a lot of people care to give sometimes. And it gets me stuck because I want to know more, again, trying to make sure I make the best decisions so I don't offend anybody. So details are very, very important to me in my understanding. I'm a faith-filled believer, and I believe in Jesus Christ. God is my father. I am his favorite child out of all of his children.
Well, really?
He loves me. Absolutely.
Well, I must agree, but can we share just a little bit?
Sure. Listen, whatever gets you going, whatever you need to believe to get you out of bed, you do that.
Ma'am.
For me, I am his favorite.
Yes,
he
ma'am.
knows my name. He knows every hair on my head. I am his favorite. He is my dad.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, he is. Okay.
I'm going to share this a little bit.
And I'm a Bible believer. So anything that I do and just how I move, I try very hard. Now, I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. And sometimes you look at me and be like, I thought she said she was a Bible believer. I'm still flesh. I'm still, on this earth. But I strive to, move in the way God would have me to move in all that I do.
I can see that.
And that's how I would sum myself up.
Well, great. And that for me really sums up Marion. Even though I would add a couple things, but that's for another show.
I know that's right.
Now, would you like to ask me a question? Would you like for me to go through all of mine first?
No, let's go back and forth.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so how did you get your idea for your business? But before you answer that, answer this. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What was the thing you kept saying you were going to do when you grew
up? For me, I always wanted to be a therapist.
Huh.
Yes. I always wanted to know, considering a lot of the things I went through in my younger years, I really wanted to know why people did some of the things that they did, and like what were their triggers, and like really why. Just explain to me why, because growing up I was never given a why. It was always, this is what it is, and it is what it, when the adults tell you something, that's exactly what you do. But for me, I always wanted to know why.
Oh.
Why? That was always something I always wanted to ask, but in those times you dare ask why. So I never got to ask that, and I just wanted to be able to sit down with people and maybe ask them why, or why are you going through this? It's always why. Okay. So that way, in my opinion, it helps people see themselves through what they're going through.
Absolutely.
And sometimes self-reflection is the best reflection.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Now, I thought you were going to say a singer or something, because if you have ever seen this child do karaoke, you would think that she wanted to be an entertainer. But moving on.
Yes. Now, we're going to come back to that with another question.
Okay.
But the idea for my business was actually developed over many years. As some people know, I've been in healthcare for 20 plus years, but I can show my age. We're not supposed to.
You started when you were 10?
No.
5?
I actually started when I was 19.
Oh. Let's do the math. Okay, go ahead.
It still won't take you close enough. But for me, it was, like I said, my idea started even way back then. Even before I knew that it was actually an idea. That's how far it goes back, because the walk that God has taken me on has prepared me for it from when I always said I wanted to help people and be like, why? Because even in the business, I'm always like, why? What can I do to make it better? How can I make it better? Why do you feel it has to be that way? So, but really when it took a turn for me to know that this is really where I was going to go, it was once I completed my internship, after completing all the courses required to be a nursing home administrator. And I went back into the nursing home after completing everything before I took my boards. And I just realized that management was for management and not the people. And I wanted to be for the people. I wanted to do something where it wasn't based off of monetary gain. It was based off of supplying you the services that you needed and being the bridge that gaps that where I find the perfect caregiver for the perfect client. But they're not always perfect, but to me they are. So, and after looking at that, like I can be for the people on both ends and still deal with management, the red tape, everything else I have to deal with is just my way. So,
Okay.
But definitely my walk has prepared me for
Yes,
this.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My next question for you is, why did you choose your career? But first, can you tell me what your career is?
So I am the founder of Me Too Concepts and Solutions, which is a learning and development company. And I specialize in training and doing a lot of one-on-one workshops to get to the bottom or the bedrock of who we are and why we make decisions that we make. A lot like what you were saying, why do you do that? You know, why do you feel that way? It goes back to our influential years of somewhere between the ages of 2 and 16 is when we develop our ideas and our values based off of our experiences. So what we do is whenever there is a client calls and they are having a problem with their staff,
I call a lot.
or they're having a situation where they need to change the thinking, which is called cognitive reconstruction. You can't just, training is where you just tell people what to do and they follow a strict process, step 1, step 2, step 3. Learning and development is learning a new way to be. So you have to get to the bedrock of your thinking and why do you feel that way, and try to throw away those things that are bad and replace them with better thoughts, good thoughts, you know, more respectful thoughts that are more in line with who you are.
Most people who act out, she does that well.
Well, thank you. Because most people who act out are not acting out just because they don't have anything else to do.
Yes.
Something's wrong.
Yes.
Something's going on. So if we can get to the bottom of that and take care of that, then the training can begin after that. So that's what Me Too Concepts is about. And that can show up as a workshop. It can show up as a one-day training. It can also show up in HR and documents and discipline and all of those things. So we do a lot, but the people are the basics.
Yes, and I can say she's helped me implement in all areas. Thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It's really, I love what you do because if someone has an opportunity to be in their own home and receive the health care that they need, I think that is the best place to be.
Yes.
Instead of in a cold room or, in a place that's unknown to them. So anything that could be done to keep us in our homes, I appreciate.
Yes. Well, thank you.
I chose this career because I have a heart for men. I have a heart for men who have had an experience with the criminal justice system. I had an opportunity to work in a reentry program and it changed my life. People were coming out of prison with these high expectations and no tools or skills. Just told to, don't do that anymore, go get a job. However, no one asked them about why they do what they do. Now, there's programs in prison, don't get me wrong, to touch on that, but you're still in prison. Mm-hmm. So you're going to say and do whatever you have to say and do to get through that program. Exactly. So you can get up out of there, not necessarily that you have changed your mind. Mm-hmm. So when they had an opportunity to really go back and, excuse me, I should have took this gun out. Moving it around. All right. Have an opportunity to really sit back and think about their childhood and those things that shaped who they are. They were able to address some things. Yes. There's a lot of unforgiveness and resentment and anger there.
And I really don't think that, not to cut you off
sure.
or to stop you, but I really don't think that people understand how that plays an effect or has an effect on you moving forward and doing things in life to be a productive individual.
Absolutely.
And it really does. Because I myself have went through some things where I had to go back and look at things like, wow. And I don't think I will say, not that I don't think, I know if I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today.
You are so right, because it will rear its ugly head.
Yes.
At times that you have no control over.
Yes. And it still does sometimes.
Absolutely.
And that's when I make those calls.
We all have those moments.
Yes.
We don't address it because we don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
I got stuff to do. I don't have time to cry. I don't have time to, dig that deep and get back into that emotional state. I'd rather just sweep it under the rug and go about my business, and I'll address it when it comes. But it will keep coming up. And every time you take 2 steps forward, you wind up getting pushed 4 steps back because you don't address it. So having that opportunity changed my life, and it also let me know that there's not a lot of programs out there to address it and take out that time. So I decided to start the Me Too concepts, and Me Too, it's me and the number 2, because it's 2 of us together. My favorite book says when two or three are gathered together, there I am in the midst. So if you have 2 people together that agree on something that you can talk to, then you are well on your way to healing and to changing how you think, and a permanent change, not just a superficial change. And also Me Too stands for we are more alike than we are different. If I say something like, have you ever been in your car and upset a driver for cutting you off and you were cussing them out in your car? Like they you'd be like, me too. Have you ever yelled at your kids and they really didn't do anything and it was because of what happened at the office? Me too. So that's where the whole Me Too came from. If we can just agree that we all have the same issues, it's just on how we deal with them, you won't feel so alone and isolated.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is why I chose the career. And that's why it doesn't seem like a job, because I so love being in a group and creating an environment where people actually feel safe, where they can express themselves, and then we can get to a resolution.
Yes, ma'am. And once again, I can say you definitely do that.
Well, thank you. So my question for you is, if not this, if not Hands from Heaven, then what? What would you be doing?
And with that question, I really don't know how to answer it, because I couldn't give you an answer of what I would be doing, because from me moving into this, it's all I know. Like every step or everything I've been through in my walk led me here. I couldn't imagine or even think of, if not this, then what? Like, I am so serious. When I knew that was a question, I was like, I had to sit and think about it. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. And I think that's what makes me so happy with what I do.
Yep.
I don't know where I would be if I wasn't here. And I think that falls into where I shared in the podcast with Treasure Mock that you have to, when you're called to do something, once again, you have to submit to it. And once you submit to it, it becomes a choice and is no longer anything else. So I still can't come up with an answer. Like, I couldn't even imagine not being where I am. And even where I am is not where I'm supposed to be. I still have more work to do. So I couldn't imagine.
And that's what keeps you moving forward.
Yes.
Because if you have an alternative, you might kick this to the curb and go to the other.
Or even if I thought about it as this is where I was supposed to stop, I still wouldn't even be still doing the work that he has for me. So I don't even look at this as a stopping point. This is just my beginning, even though my beginning was in 2006 when I signed the paperwork to go back to school.
Wow.
So it's, I don't know.
So it's this.
Yes. There is no then what. But for me, I look at it as what next?
Absolutely. Or you might be an entertainer. Okay.
Yeah, you know.
And there's a video coming soon to show. No, I won't do it.
They might ask for it. It depends. Okay, now my question for you is, what do you fear most as an entrepreneur?
You know, and I don't know how you're going to take this or how this is going to go over with people, but I don't have a fear as an entrepreneur. I have a fear as Marion. So all of my fears or challenges is related to me as a person that I have had prior to, that I have not conquered, that I'm still, working on, because I'm always working on myself. Those are the fears, but it's not directly related to being an entrepreneur, because I believe that I was called to do what I'm doing, and I'm okay with that. I know that he's making a way, and I am every day just surprised at some of the stuff that comes my way. But as an individual, as Marion, as the person I always have, one of my challenges is really just moving forward. I am the biggest procrastinator. My birthday comes every year, same date, never fails. It's coming. And I need to renew my license and my tags every year on that date. I am running to the B&B every year. Like, please don't. As if it snuck up on me. They send you stuff in the mail 2 months prior. Like, hey, you want to do it through the mail? You want to do this? And I will just push it to the side. There is something about my relationship with time that goes back to my childhood that I am still wrestling with. And it shows up sometimes in my performance. It shows up in my household. And as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to be is on time. You have to be proactive. You have to be prepared, all of those things. And so for this to be a challenge for me, it affects me. I believe I could do more and be further if I would conquer that one thing. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about it's not for you to conquer? It'll all come in his timing. Because from the time that I've started this and we start working together, you've made a lot of progress in the last 2 years that I can see, as a businesswoman as well, and us working together, that you might not have done if we didn't become, working as a team on different projects. So I think that it could be your time too, but you working with different individuals, taking on different challenges will help you also conquer that fear.
And that's it, taking them on. So the procrastination lets me look at your message and wait. Even though I know I want to and I know I should call, I'm like, I'll wait. Okay, I'll wait. Okay, I'll wait. And I have no reason to wait. It's just me, just being a procrastinator and not pushing myself to quickly answer. As soon as, oh, they want you to do that? Yes. Well, wait a minute. You shouldn't say yes so quick. Why not? So that's my struggle. That's my wrestling. But absolutely.
But if they come in like me and be like, hey, I just need you to do this for me real quick. And it's like,
yes.
You're like, sure, Maria, when is it due?
And inside I'm screaming.
I know.
Oh, I'm kicking and screaming and I'm tripping. Like,
I could only imagine.
Okay, yes. Yes. The book I'm reading now is The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, which is the greatest thing ever. Which tells you that you really have 5 seconds before your mind kicks in to change it. So you need to make decisions quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
What fun fact would surprise people about you? You are very, especially on your job, you are just very process oriented, systematic, and you like to get things done, things in order. What is a fun fact that people would be surprised to know about you?
Would you like the fun fact to be just about me, period, or just in regards to work? Should I ask that question first?
You, period.
Just me, period. Well, that would probably surprise people is that I can't dance. And a lot of people wouldn't think that I can't dance, but I can't dance.
And it's so true. I'll tell you.
Well, thank you.
But what I appreciate is you will get out and dance anyway.
Yes.
It does not deter you from getting out there.
No.
Like, I just know I want to move.
Yes.
Now, what it look like, I don't know.
And
but
I tell
wanna
everybody,
move.
I can't dance. I can make money, and I always say that. And people laugh, but that's the way I smooth it over. Like, I'm okay with it.
Right.
But I can't dance. And nor do I don't know, 75% of the lyrics of any song except for I'm Not Your Superwoman.
Any song?
No.
Any song?
No.
So what, you hum? What do you do?
I can sing the hook.
Oh, so you know the hook.
Yeah, but that's not 75%.
What do you do with the verses? You make stuff up?
No, I don't sing the verses. Not unless I know, but it's still not 75%. But what I've learned to do is I will print the verses out of a song.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
My husband will contest.
That's a lot of work.
And I will go through them because one thing my grandmother always taught me is like never speak on something you know anything about that you don't know anything about. So I never wanted to be singing a song and get to a verse and be like, oh, I never knew it said that. Ooh. So now I have to know. I might not remember the lyrics, but I have to know what the song is talking about before I can sing it.
Now, I have to admit that there has been some songs from way back in the day that I hear now. I guess I'm hearing clearer, or I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I don't know that's what they were saying. I always said such and such and so and so. Yeah, so I understand those moments. And it's so funny because what you thought they were saying didn't make sense anyway. But you figured they're making the money, they can say what they want. I'm just going to sing it because I like the hook. Yeah. But I get it. Absolutely.
And that's my fun fact. Like,
okay.
Like, until they see me dance.
Yes.
Or they be like, sing a song, and that's the one I'm arsenal.
Listen, some of these dances are so complicated now, you don't really want to learn them anyway. You just get out there and do your own thing. They do too much right now.
So I sit back anyways, and then I go do my two-step.
Always go back to this two-step.
Always works. For some reason, a two-step turn into 6 steps in my head, and I'll be doing 8.
Okay.
Figure it out. But
if men can do it, we can do it. All they got to do is just rock and move their feet, and they doing something. And girls are, women are all over them. Yeah, so we get two-step too. Okay.
Okay. And my next question for you is, where do you see your business in 5 years?
That is a great question. And it's a great question because I honestly have not sat back and thought about where I want to be in 5 years. Wow. I've only thought about the year, just what I want to do this year and what I want to do next year. And when I think about it, 5 years seems like a long time, but this is what I'll tell you my goal is. That Me Too Concepts will do conferences and workshops
And I can see that.
And people will send their people to these conferences and workshops. So I'll have a team of people, and we'll be able to have more people at one time instead of me trying to go from place to place to place to place. Most of the trainings they can last for 6 weeks. They can be twice a week. It's usually more than one day. So if there can be a conference, like there's organizations out there that'll do a week-long conference and you have to go to New York to do that.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking
and I really
when I
do
say
think
that.
that is something that is needed, that a lot of business owners really need to. With me working with you, I see what it does just for my company. And when my individuals come in and they come to one of your, one of the in-services or things you hold here for us, they're talking about it for weeks and they're waiting on you to come back. They're waiting to see, well, when is Miss Marion coming back? It's time for our quarterly meeting. They're really engaged, and it really helps them see exactly what I've been trying to get them to see, or the memos, the documentation is trying to get them to see, but they see it in life, like right up and close and personal with the different ways that you present it to them. And that's one thing I really love. It's not just you reading something, or they get to participate. Absolutely. And they get to be them, and then you can show them, but also at the same time, I admire the fact that how you can show me sometimes how the policy and procedures aren't defining everything as clearly as they should.
Yes.
So it's so much, but I could definitely see, and I would definitely send my staff. I don't know if I could do 5 days. Well,
it depends on what it is that we're talking about. And there's half days and stuff like that, because you still have a business to run. Can't be taken up for a whole week.
I just thought about that. They'll be gone for a whole week and me having to...
It depends, absolutely. And sometimes, the trainings are on a weekend or something like that. So definitely keeping everybody in mind.
Yes.
Absolutely. But thank you. I appreciate that.
It's something that I could definitely see you doing and really moving forward and really helping a lot of companies that where we don't think we don't need help in that area because it's easy, we can do it in service. No, we really do. And that's very much needed for your staff to not always hear it come from you, but to hear it come from someone else with a whole different perspective. So thank you. That was one of my challenges when I was working, even as a manager, is having a voice and actually having the opportunity to say, I don't agree, I agree, but you don't understand what I'm going through because you're in your office and I'm doing what I do, even though you do understand because you were there, you get it. Yes. It's like when we talk to our kids. We tell our kids all week long to do something and we are berating them all week. Somebody comes, an auntie, a stranger will come and tell them one time, and it's like the heavens opened up in the sky and they heard something for the first time. It's like, wow, really? So it just depends on, how close you are to that person and if they feel just safe and comfortable. Sometimes they think that the CEOs, the owners, the managers really don't get it, but I don't have anything to lose, so I have to be telling them the truth. But I will say, in the next 5 years, if you're moving that way, you better have a couple of you. Yes, a team. Yes. Absolutely a team. Absolutely. Yes, that's in there. Team, because you will be called upon. Yes. Well, thank you. I claim that. Yes. And I'm like, don't forget the little people. Don't forget me. I still need you. Absolutely. Absolutely. A question for you. What was the hardest thing you had to do as an entrepreneur? What did you think was hard but turned out to be easy? The hardest thing for me to do as an entrepreneur was to release responsibility to others. Very, very hard for me because I am a perfectionist. I like everything to be this way. When I think about it in my mind of how it's going to be, it has to be this way. And that's been the hardest thing for me to do, was to allow others to give me the end result, but their way. And it's still kind of hard for me because sometimes even if they're giving me the end result, but they're not doing it my way, or if they need help from me, it kind of takes away from that. So I'll pull it back, I'll revamp it, and then give it back. But I have to come out of that too. I have to really just learn how to go over the objective and keep letting them push at it until they finally get it. So it still keeps me free for other things that I need to do.
Yeah, delegation is hard.
Yes.
It's hard. Me and my husband, when we are just talk about dishes, I don't want them to wash the dishes because they're going to leave food on it. It's going to be nasty. I'd rather just do it myself. But all we complain about is the fact that we're the only ones that do dishes. So it has to get to a point where I'm tired of doing everything. So I at least have to try it. Yes. You know, I've taught them, I've shown them. So that's you trusting what you've done and giving them an opportunity to grow. Because they won't grow if you don't give them anything to grow with.
And you helped me realize that. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I had started it way before.
Absolutely.
But it really came in. It really came into effect as we began to grow. So not only did I know that it was something that I needed to do and it was my struggle, God put me in a perfect position to be able to deal with my own struggle in an effectively and efficient manner. So. And
sometimes you get so much piled on your plate where you have no choice. So when you say put you in a position, absolutely. Like, let me just keep on until she pass out.
Yes.
And eventually we'll just throw it at him. Here!
Please! I don't care how you do it, just do it. Right. I just need to say 6.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yes, that for me is my struggle. But it's actually not as bad now that I do it as I thought it would be. So I'm glad that I conquered that.
Yes, absolutely.
My next question for you is, what makes Me Too concepts unique?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and that is, instead of it being Me Too Concepts does not do just trainings, regular trainings, or we do not go into it as teaching a process. It is to get to the bottom of what's happening, to get to the core, and first find out about the participants, the people who are there. You know, who are you? Where are you coming from? What's going on? And then introduce different real life scenarios so we can get a feel for, you know, what's important to you, your values and beliefs, and then slide in a lesson, slide in while we're really here. It makes it go down a lot smoother. So I think what makes Me Too Concepts unique is we are definitely there for the person who hired us, the client, but the person, the participants that are there, we're there for them as well. We want them to get the most. We want everyone to succeed. And so we are taking that step deeper to find out what's going on. So it'll be more, the change will be prolonged. It won't be just temporary for a couple of weeks and they forget it. It'll be meaningful for them.
And I can say that because, like I said, utilizing you, that's one thing my staff, they always talk about what we went over. When is Miss Marion coming back? But they can always take something out of it. So that is definitely, I would say, what makes you unique. It's not about always what I want to see accomplished. It's also about them. And it helps me understand them and their struggles and different things that they're dealing with to help the business help them.
Relatable is the word that I like to associate with Me Too Concepts. We are very relatable.
And I would agree with that.
So now I have a question for you, my last.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is, how do you decompress and go from CEO Maria to wife Maria? When you leave for the day, how do you make that switch?
It's not actually a switch, because even in my personal life, I run it like my business life. So it's still structure, it's still organization, it's still, everything has a system. When I go into the house, it's systematic. I conquer this area, I cook. It's all systematic still for me. The same way that I handle my staff here, I handle my family at home. So it does, for me, it doesn't change. I'm just the CEO of 7463 Old River Drive.
So I'm going to throw something in there and say, you're the CEO. However, as a wife and being vulnerable and then allowing your husband to be the head, how do you make that switch? Even though you want to make certain decisions and you have to allow him to, how do you do that?
I allow him to be the CEO, but I'm the CEFO too. So if that makes sense.
What is, wait,
so
CEO, CFO?
I'm the CEO. I run everything. But when he go into that, I become the CFO. I run the finances.
Got you. Okay.
So in order to pull back and he allowed me to be the CEO, see, like we gotta just, like,
okay, we'll have to ask. We'll have to bring the husband on in the next one and see what he says about that. Okay, go ahead.
But no, actually, like I said, but still for me, it's still systematic. I'm still systematic at home, but I guess I know everyone's love language in my house. So I can play on their love language, which makes it a different atmosphere. Gotcha. And that what works for me. But at home, anyone that knows me is still systematic, and yeah.
Okay.
It's weird, but wow.
It works.
I didn't think about it from that perspective, but yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, and my mystery question for you is, how did it feel when I asked you to do the podcast?
Oh my.
Because I know you and some of the challenges that you have.
Yes.
It's like, wow.
It was a no. My first thought was no and H no. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, why would I do that? What in the world? And then it was absolutely. It made me feel good that someone was doing one. I think it's needed. I appreciate it. This is fun. And I was curious on the setting and the questions and what we were going to cover. So it was a little bit of, again, the challenges with Marion is I need to talk and actually answer questions and not talk around them. You know, I'm going to be put on the spot. So all of that came flooding even today. It was like, so if I cancel, what can I say is a good reason to cancel? I mean, because I woke up thinking about it, honey, trying to figure out how to cancel.
I was sitting there like, oh my gosh, Marion agreed. Oh my gosh, Marion agreed. Like,
I appreciated that it was, you pushed me out a little bit. That was great. Because if it would have been like within a couple of days of you asking me, yeah, it might have been no. So I'm okay now.
Well, good. I'm glad you came. But I just wanted to know how, or have you give the opportunity to say, you know, even though you talked about the issues that you have, you were still willing and able to come here today and face a lot of those issues and to talk about your business and the things that you do, which I think will help a lot of companies or a lot of businesses out there. And just to get to know you, it's a good thing. So we truly appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you. I feel
and look forward to having you
honored
again.
to be invited. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we can do this all the time.
Well, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.